Case between the federal government of Nigeria and the detained leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, Nnamdi Kanu, apparently took a new technical twist on Thursday after one of the lawyers of the detained Biafra leader, Paul Erokoro, San, presented and played 3 videos which the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja later admitted in evidence. The videos of former Nigeria Chief of Army Staff, retired General Theophilus Danjuma, saying, security operatives in the West Africa country, specifically the armed forces, are working together with the armed bandits to kill Nigerians, stressing that, if Nigerians depend on the armed forces to curb insecurity, they will all die one by one. Also that of Governor Hope Uzodinma of Imo State, saying politicians are behind killings in the state. Lastly, and the most interesting video played at the court to counter the testimony or statement made by the DSS prosecutor witness over Nnamdi Kanu-led IPOB founding Eastern Security Network, ESN, allegedly created by group of youths in the southeastern geopolitical zone of Nigeria, often referred to as Biafra land, to fight in self-defense against Fulani armed bandits or terrorists that were advancing and killing people in the eastern states during the era of President Muhammadu Buhari, was that of the Director General of the Department of State Services, DSS, Adeola Ajayi, who is apparently the government chief complainer in the case, and the DSS DG in the video recorded and published by SymFoni News Media in February 2025, narrated how youths at Azare community in Katagum local government area and Tafawa Balewa community of Tafawa Balewa local government area in Bauchi state, when the DSS DG was the State Director of State Security Services, SS, resorted to self-help and killed all Boko Haram terrorists that came to attack them without depending on the security operatives, according to the DSS DG. When Boko Haram terrorists invaded Azare community, they started shooting and killing people. Then, the youths went after the Boko Haram terrorists and killed all of them, even when one of the Boko Haram terrorists named Khalid climbed a tree and started firing gunshots from the tree towards the people who were on the lower ground. The Azare people resisted and went after him and subsequently killed him. Although the federal government prosecution witness identified as BBB, who is a DSS operative, stated that the ESN is an illegal organization because there is no approval of government given to the people of Southeast to establish such a self-help group to defend their land against terrorists, unlike a Motecan security network in the southwest states that was approved and permitted by the government, also claiming his boss, the DSS DG in the video, was asking communities to build the first line of defense by thus working with security operatives, but a careful and detailed study of the DSS DG speech in the video shows that the FG witness, BBB, probably talked off points, totally off-key from the original intent and intention of Mr. Adeola Ajayi, the DSS DG teachings and advise in the video, who had said the Azare community people acted in quick response to an emergency situation, and the storyline indicated that the people of Azare prepared themselves in advance, likely purchasing and acquiring firearms equivalent to AK-47 rifles to be able to face and kill all the Boko Haram terrorists that invaded the community, as narrated by the DSS DG. And if true, the DSS DG, the chief complainer, must also be ordered to appear before the court as a defender in the case to present a certified true copy of government approval given to Azare people to defend themselves, or prove beyond reasonable doubts how the people of Azare community were able to kill, merely with the bare hands, all the Boko Haram terrorists that invaded their community with high-precision weapons of mass destructions. In addition, the DSS DG in the video probably advocated for the need for all individuals in Nigeria to have a gun, because he gave an example of a visit to the United States of America, USA, when his host in the US heard a police siren sound. He quickly brought out his gun and said, if the criminal chased after by the US police ran into his apartment, he would use the gun to kill the criminal suspect, and that not all. The DSS DG in the video also recalled and referenced the words of Nigeria former head of state, retired General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, that if insecurity must end in Nigeria, Nigerians must be ready to resort to self-help like the people of Azare community did. Details of the court proceedings on Thursday as reported by the news agency of Nigeria, NAN, and republished by Vanguard newspaper are presented verbatim below. Justice James Omotosho admitted the flash drive containing the 3 separate video recordings as Exhibit PWP and a certificate of compliance as Exhibit PWP-1 in the ongoing terrorism trial of Kanu, the leader of the proscribed Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB. The documents were admitted in evidence after Paul Erokoro, SAN, counsel for Kanu, tendered them from the bar and were not opposed by the federal government's lawyer, Adigboyegba Awomolo, SAN. The news agency of Nigeria, NAN, reports that the 3 video recordings were played in the open court and the FG's witness, an operative of the DSS, identified as BBB, was cross-examined by Erokoro. Earlier, the lawyer reminded the witness that during the cross-examination the previous day, reference was made to remarks by Danjuma and the DSS DG, and he responded in affirmative. "Do you know your DG, and if you see him, will you recognize him?" Erokoro asked. "Yes, I will, my lord," BBB responded, and the lawyer sought the leave of the court for the video to be played. In one of the videos, the DSS DG was addressing a gathering of people where he suggested that communities should endeavor to create a first line of defense against bandits and other invaders. In the video, Ajayi cited examples of 2 communities, Azare and Tafawa Balewa in Bauchi state, that were able to kill and dislodge Boko Haram insurgents through collective effort when he was serving as state director. The DG said it was practically impossible for security agencies to protect every society in the country. The DSS boss was heard saying, "The practical approach to mobilizing people is to get everyone involved. It is impossible for the security agencies to deploy to every part of the country. What we need to do is to make communities set up first line of defense. We have to allow some levels of armament for the communities to rise and defend themselves first, but under the guidance and approval of security agencies. The time to start it is now." When asked by Erokoro whether the DG-DSS was not asking for communities to defend themselves, the witness emphasized that the DG stressed that such communities must come for guidance and approval from security agencies. In another video, former Defense Minister, General Danjuma, was shown making a remark in an event. Danjuma was heard, in the video, saying members of the armed forces were not neutral in the ongoing killings across the country. The ex-general said in the video, "The peace in this state is under threat. There is an attempt for ethnic cleansing in this state and all the riverine states of Nigeria. We must resist it. We must rise up. The armed forces are not neutral. They collude with armed bandits that killed Nigerians. They facilitate their movement. They cover them. If you are depending on the armed forces to protect you, you will all die one by one." When asked by Erokoro who the speaker in the video was, the witness confirmed that he was Danjuma. Erokoro then asked the witness if he heard Danjuma calling on people to defend themselves and that the security agencies were not neutral, and BBB responded in affirmative. BBB, however, rejected Erokoro's request to give his, BBB's, opinion on the implication of what Danjuma said. "I am not here to interpret his statement. The maker of the video should be the one to interpret it himself," he said. When the lawyer asked him if he was aware DSS arrested Danjuma for making the statement, the witness said, "I am not aware my organization arrested him." The third video showed Governor Uzodinma complaining about the killings of some All Progressives Congress, APC's leaders in his state and blamed it on the politicians. The governor said in the video, "Wicked politicians are sponsoring the killings in Olu. The APC leaders were killed, but not one PDP leader has been killed or attacked for once. I think their cup is now full and killings of innocent people must stop in Imho." Uzodinma, who said it occurred to him that the alleged killers were after APC members, said government would come hard on them if they failed to refrain from such act. When asked who the speaker was, the witness said it was Governor Uzodinma. Erokoro then asked BBB whether Uzodinma's position did not contradict his claim in court that IPOB members were behind killings in Olu in Imho. Responding, the witness said DSS position was informed by the outcome of their investigation. BBB further said that, while Uzodinma failed to mention names of victims of the killings he referred to, the DSS investigation was specific on the identity of those killed by suspected IPOB members who were enforcing the sit-at-home order directed by Kanu. Our investigation revealed those who were killed by suspected IPOB members, and we mentioned the names, but the governor did not mention any name of people he said were killed, the witness said. BBB, who was the second prosecution witness, PW2, was also cross-examined by Erokoro based on his earlier testimony. When asked about the IPOB status, the witness said he was aware that IPOB had been proscribed by an order of court and that Kanu had been a member of IPOB before and after its proscription. On whether he knew what the NS's protest was about, the witness said it was about the call by some people for the police's special anti-robbery squad, SARS, to be scrapped. The witness also said he was aware that some states, including Lagos and the National Human Rights Commission, NHRC, constituted commissions of inquiry to probe the NS's protest and other related incidents. When he was asked to read the heading of the report of the panel, the witness said, Lagos State Panel of Judicial Inquiry on Restitution of Victims of NS's Protest and Other Matters. The witness agreed with Erokoro that the report from the commission set up by Lagos State did not indicate IPOB and that it did not classify the protest as act of terrorism. Erokoro tendered the report issued by the Lagos's Commission of Inquiry, which the court admitted in evidence as Exhibit PWO after it was not opposed by FG's lawyer, Chief Adeola Ajayi. When he was asked if Kanu's international passport had ever been in DSS custody, the witness said he had never seen the passport before. When asked if he was aware Kanu had traveled to different countries before, BBB said the IPOB leader told him he had traveled to many countries. He said though he did not know if the name, Biafra, had been prescribed, BBB said he was aware that IPOB had been prescribed. The witness, who admitted that the AGF letter was tendered through him in court, said he was aware of all the allegations against Kanu mentioned by the AGF in the letter. The witness disagreed with Erokoro that the letter did not serve any useful purpose. He said he did not know if Kanu had been in detention for the past 5 years. When asked if he had the report of the investigation on Kanu, BBB responded in affirmative. He, however, said that the report was not with him in court because the report belongs to the government. The witness said his involvement in Kanu's matter was only the taking of his statement on the video. When asked if there were any other persons as defendants in the charge against Kanu, BBB said it was only Kanu he saw as sole defendant. Erokoro put the question to BBB that in the earlier video he watched, there was no one bearing arms as members of ESN. Responding, the witness said, in the video we watched, I cannot say they carry arms or they did not carry arms. The witness further explained that the people might be carrying arms underneath them. While responding to question during re-examination by FG's lawyer, Chief Adeola Ajayi, SAN, on whether the Eastern Security Network, ESN, set up by Kanu and Omotekan established by Southwest states had the same features in their formation, the witness said ESN was an illegal group unlike the Omotekan. The witness said Omotekan was backed by laws passed by the various houses of assembly of the 6 Southwest states while ESN had no law supporting its existence. ESN and Omotekan are not the same. I know that states in the Southwest passed laws to legalize Omotekan. But ESN is not registered. ESN is illegal. Omotekan is recognized by law, the witness said. Justice Omatosho then discharged BBB from the witness box. The judge, before adjourning for the day, gave the prosecution 6 days within which to call all its witnesses and conclude its case. He said this would, however, depend on how fast the defense too conduct their cross-examination. Justice Omatosho also indicated that the defense would be allocated 9 days. He reminded parties that accelerated hearing had been granted in the case so that the trial could be concluded within reasonable time in the interest of justice. The judge, following an agreement by lawyers to parties, adjourned until May 28th and May 29th, June 6th, June 16th, June 18th and June 19th for the prosecution to conduct its case. We had reported that unknown witness brought by the federal government of Nigeria to Federal High Court sitting in Abuja on Tuesday over the case involving Biafra Republic agitator, Nnamdi Kanu has testified before the court that the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB leader was the founder of the Eastern Security Network, ESN, an IPOB-acclaimed vigilante security network established to fight against terrorists that were advancing from northern part of Nigeria and building camps in some parts of southeast states, although the unknown witness, who was fully masked and personal details kept secret, introduced himself as a personnel of the Department of State Services, DSS, who was among the detectives that interrogated the detained IPOB leader, but the IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, in a swift reaction said the witness is unknown, denying ever meeting such a person. The defense lawyer raised a point of observation during cross-examination that the issue raised by the unknown witness has been deliberated and struck out by the previous judge. We had reported that one of the witnesses called by the federal government of Nigeria to testify against the leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, over the alleged act of terrorism, secretly gave his testimony on Tuesday before the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja, with the coordinating lawyer to Nnamdi Kanu, Barrister Aloy Ejimakor, saying, the FG witness was only identified merely by initials and the person gave his testimony against Nnamdi Kanu behind the screen, following the application filed by the federal government lawyers as approved by the trial judge to keep the identities of the FG witnesses secret. This, Aloy Ejimakor tweeted while the court proceeding was ongoing, that the federal government only has 3 senior advocates of Nigeria, SAN, that 6 SAN have stood firmly behind the detained Biafra leader. We had reported that Justice James Omotosho, the new judge that took over the case of the detained Biafra agitation leader, Nnamdi Kanu, has accepted the apology tendered by Nnamdi Kanu through one of his lawyers, Barrister Kanu Agabi, a Cross-River State-born former senator in the Nigeria National Assembly and 2-time Attorney General of the Federation and Minister of Justice under the then-President Olusegun Obasanjo, over the detained Biafra leader's outburst or manner he protested sequel to his rejection of the former judge, Justice Binta Nyako, when the case started afresh on Friday with the new judge, which Nnamdi Kanu pleaded not guilty to the 7 counts terrorism charges filed against him by the federal government. We had reported that the detained Biafra Republic agitation leader, Nnamdi Kanu, has not been released by the Chief Justice of Nigeria, CJN Justice Kadirat Kakareyekan, Nigeria National Judicial Council, NJC says in reaction to viral rumors that the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB leader has been set free by the CJN on the ground that Nigeria courts under her leadership have no jurisdiction over the freedom fighter's case due to the way and manner he was forcefully extradited from Kenya to Nigeria in 2021. We had reported that the detained leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, on Valentine's Day sent a message to the lovers, supporters of the Biafra Republic agitation and the general public that he would remain in detention until impartial and unbiased judge take over the case of alleged terrorism filed against him by the federal government of Nigeria, narrating how the judiciary has been biased against him since years of his detention. We had reported that Justice Binta Nyako of Federal High Court in Abuja has adjourned indefinitely after the detained leader of Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, was seen in a privileged video footage during February 10, 2025 court session, staged a resistance protest, insisting while confronting the judge face-to-face, including the prosecuting counsel, Adigboyegbara Womolo, that Justice Binta, who is an indigene of Katsina State, same state with former President Muhammadu Buhari, is biased, saying, Justice Nyako, who had held the political position of Katsina State Attorney General and Commissioner of Justice, that her court is not a court of law but a shrine of injustice, accusing the judge of poke-nosing with authorities to pass wrong judgment against him in order to be left off the hook by the federal government. Her son, Abdul Aziz Nyako, and her husband, retired Vice Admiral Matala Nyako, who was once Chief of Naval Staff, Deputy Chief of Defense Staff, pioneer former military governor of Niger State, 2 times governor of Adamawa State, who were impeached twice by Adamawa State House of Assembly for misconduct, one of the soldiers that fought against Biafra during Nigeria Civil War, a current member of the ruling All Progressives Congress, APC, who is facing corruption charges alongside his son in a criminal allegation filed before court of law since 2015 by the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, over alleged cases of abuse of office, criminal conspiracy, theft and money laundering. We had October 2024 reported that the Chief Judge of Federal High Court in Nigeria, Justice John Tahemba Soho, has rejected the verbal plea by the detained Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB leader, Nnamdi Kanu, for the trial judge in the case, Justice Binta Nyako, to withdraw being the judge over the lawsuits. Justice Soho stated that Kanu's case was reassigned to Justice Nyako due to its prolonged nature, dating back to 2015. Given that Justice Nyako had handled the case for the most part, she was deemed the most suitable judge to see it through to its conclusion. However, the chief judge directed that if at the next hearing of the case, Kanu still insists on recusing Justice Nyako, he must file a written motion with an edit, stating all the grounds for requesting the recusal. We had reported in September 2024 that Justice Binta Nyako of Federal High Court sitting in Abuja have withdrawn from the case of detained Biafra leader Nnamdi Kanu after the trial on the Biafra leader's personal confrontation with Ntaya. We had reported in May 2024 that, in a rare case in the history of legal proceedings in the world, Nnamdi Kanu, the detained leader of the Indigenous People of Biafra, IPOB, held himself at the Federal High Court sitting in Abuja and played the role of a lawyer with full energy and vibrant command of words, with fearless loud voice defended himself with face-to-face confrontation with the trial judge, Justice Binta Nyako, and the Federal Government Prosecution Counsel, Adigboye Egberawomolo. Kanu is being prosecuted by the federal government on a 7-count bordering on terrorism.
These are not neutral. They collude. They collude. They collude.
He has advised himself
with the armed bandits. They kill people, kill Nigerians.
Like the CDS.
They facilitate their movements. They cover them.
He said to us, which is quite important.
If you are
we should not make this
depending on the armed forces to stop the killings,
and that's why
you will all die one by one.
The practical approach to mobilizing to curb insecurity. I'll share experience with you when I was state director in Bauchi. Most of you will remember an incident in Azare. A group of terrorists, the Boko Haram, then had invaded Azare. They were shooting in an attempt to kidnap, and the community chased them. They killed some members of the community, but the community members killed all of them. The last guy, Khalid, climbed onto a tree and was fired. The community stood, they were resilient, and they killed Khalid. Since that day, there has not been one terrorist attack in Azare. As a matter of fact, the former head of state, General Ibrahim Badamasi Babangida, said, and I quote, "If we want to stop or curb this terrorism, we shall emulate the Azare example." Tafawa Balewa also happened to be a local government in Bauchi that was always in flames. And the people of Bogoro and some part of Tafawa Balewa, where the Sayawas are, rose up on one occasion. They knew their terrain better, climbed onto trees and mountains. When the invaders came, they did not only repel them, they seized their weapons. And since then, you can attest to it that you hardly hear about Tafawa Balewa again. What I'm trying to say, the practical approach to mobilizing people is that you have to get everyone involved. You do not expect the Nigerian army, police, DSS, to protect every Nigerian or every community. It is not going to work. In the US, if you visit someone in the house, you will be shocked that when the guy hears a police siren, he will just pull his drawer, bring out his gun and keep it. So one of my hosts did that, and I asked him, why are you putting gun here? He said, well, if they are chasing someone and he enters my house, I'll shoot him first. And that is the layer we have to start thinking about. How can you create first line of defense? The military, police, and other security agencies are to deal with the bigger ones, the organized ones. But it is impossible for us to deploy it to every community in the country. It is unimaginable that any security agencies that has the resources to do it. So as we live here, we all belong to one community or the other. What we have to start experimenting is how we can make the community to prepare first if the first line of defense for it. General Wahab said it clearly. And for me, there are 3 takeaways from his lecture. By the way, the general and I were guest speaker at one program in our office, so I'm not surprised that his dexterity. He has developed some sort of expertise in what he does. But 3 things for me. He asked us a question. What is our own culture? Our culture is communal. We do things together. Festival together. Ceremonies together. Wedding ceremony, whatever. So why can't we fight some miscreants, some charlatans among us together? The community should say, you cannot come here. This is what Tafawa Balewa has done. If you go to that community to attack them, you'll be sorry for yourself. I challenge anybody to try it. And this is the way we have to do. We have to allow some level of armament for the communities, and they can serve as the first line of defense. Second takeaway from what the general said. Whole society approach is not the first time we are hearing. But what I'm saying, the way to do it is when we live here, those of us who have some influence, the elites in society, discuss with your communities, come to us, get some sort of approval and guidance, and then we can stop these criminals. You can imagine you call sector, let's say sector 4 or whatever, sector of the army, to come to this community if there's an attack. Before they even arrive there, if they attack another community, what happens? This is what we should take away from here. And lastly, he said something very instructive. By the way, I like Osman. He knows who to give time. Have you seen him around here? He has advised himself. So don't run into trouble like the CDS. Okay, so last thing he said to us, which is quite important, is that we should not make this another talk show. And that's why this is my intervention. that security starts from you. There is nothing that is new. 1870 something, I can't remember. The French Revolution, in the street of Paris, they were beheading people. We've had hijack of plane. We'll forget quickly. We've had the wet year syndrome. We had so many. There's no Matasini or whatever. There will always be security problems. So when I hear people say this is security in Nigeria, as long as human beings exist, there will be security problems. The issue is the response. We have to take that mentality away. What is the security agencies doing? Who, apart from a tree, knows that they want to come and cut him and remain standing? Only a tree. We have to get the communities to rise and defend themselves first. And the time to start it is now. When you move out from here, I do that every day. I come from a village in Ijebu land, Ogun State, and I talk to my people. I know the level of armament they are entitled to. I know how they organize themselves in quarters. We have 4 quarters. I am using my expertise to guide them.
Bringing you the news in a more digital way.